Hello YouTube, this is Ben Gessel. Just on my way to teach some music students today. Sorry, I'm gonna get my steering wheel here. Do apologize. But I had to make this video. So something has come up in the vegan world recently. Or we'll just say folks that eat a heck of a lot of plant foods and not much of the other stuff, like the animal foods. That camp. So here's what's going down. A gentleman that I have watched a fair amount of his stuff and read a fair amount of his stuff and seen in some of his videos. And this is somebody I've known about for quite a long time. Dr. Joel Fuhrman is he's having some issues with a doctor of nutrition also, a gentleman by the name of Dr. Jeff Nelson. So basically this is, and there's some other folks that come into play here, but mainly we're talking about Dr. Fuhrman and Dr. Nelson. Dr. Fuhrman's vegetarian, so that basically means the highest quality plant foods plus a smidgen of animal foods that are really high quality, but he's really kind of more about the plant foods, especially vegetables and beans and stuff. That's the fruit. And Dr. Nelson, I don't know exactly what he's espousing specifically diet-wise, but he is vegan. He's vegan, I think he's in that ballpark, or at least plant-based. So it's pretty much the same thing that they're advocating, or very similar things. Not a whole lot of difference, but Dr. Fuhrman's really big on those veggies for sure, beans and that's the stuff. Dr. Nelson, not so much into nuts, not so much at least, as far as I know. So the debate goes something like this. There were some studies that Dr. Fuhrman did that were not especially scientific, that Dr. Nelson is talking about, and then after Dr. Fuhrman keeps referring to them and things, he doesn't seem to ever stop citing them. So again, the debate involves certain studies that Dr. Fuhrman did, and it turns out that they weren't especially scientifically we'll just say kosher. Yeah. So then Dr. Fuhrman keeps referring back to them, and he shouldn't. And so Dr. Fuhrman's going to give a response to this. Now, the problem with all this is where my own thoughts come into play. So I have no way of knowing what reviews are scientifically sound and what aren't, unless some other scientist looks into it. Now, I suppose I could, but that would take a lot of research. And I'm not a professional nutritionist. And so I have to look generally at what other nutritionists are saying. And I have to try to get more savvy about what their character is like and what their all that stuff, professional integrity and all that stuff. I have to judge it for myself, just like all of you guys. So, getting back here a little bit though about nutritarianism, I first learned about this quite a while back. I don't know how long, but it's been quite a while. I really didn't make a whole lot of changes to my diet, other than maybe try to focus on higher quality plant foods and over time minimize some things. And I've taken away pork and bacon from my diet, but I didn't make a whole lot of changes. Maybe I increased my vegetables I'm eating, but yeah, there was probably some gradual increases in that kind of stuff, especially frozen veggies and stuff. Now I'm eating more salads, and I'm doing a little better in some areas, more beans maybe, but I ate a lot more nuts after watching Dr. Fuhrman's stuff, or at least somewhat more nuts, and I still think they're healthy, but I don't know. So, but I have my favorite foods still. Many of my favorite foods involve fruit. And so, no matter what anybody says, I still want to keep eating my fruit. So, yeah, it's my good stuff, you know. I can actually, I've got to the point where I can eat less meat. I already have got to that point. Or it's higher quality, or it's, you know, there's all kinds of things I could do with my protein intake. I can eat vegetables all day. But, yeah, maybe to a certain point. I think there's a point at which your body says, I've had enough fiber. And then you stop eating, and Dr. Fuhrman's mentioned that's kind of the body's a good way of minimizing your calorie intake. But if you're a big guy, you need more calories, so I don't know. But anyway, but that is, you know, if you eat more plant foods, it's a good way of, because it has a fiber, it helps you not overeat. And fruit juice, I know, does encourage overeating because you don't get the fiber. Anything that doesn't have fiber, any foods that don't have fiber, they're going to encourage you to overeat and get chubby. That's one of the main things I've learned, by the way. Again, I'm going to say again, any food with fiber is good for you. Any food that doesn't have fiber, you need to minimize that stuff. I know eggs are really healthy, but eggs and salmon are some of the best non-fibrous foods. But anyway, at least the top quality stuff. So, okay. So I have my own thoughts about my favorite foods, things I don't want to change or reluctant to change. What bothers me is if somebody who knows better says this is really healthy, you should do this, and a lot of folks are going to want to make extra money, but the question is how they do that, and how much healthier is some kind of diet or food over another kind of diet or food. These are real issues, and we don't want to spend a ton of money if we don't have to. Sorry, I'm just negotiating something a little tricky here, folks. Okay, so that's the real issue. The real issue is financial, and it's regarding, feeling like we've been taken advantage of or not. If it is indeed true, some people really have even stronger feelings than I do about this, maybe. Especially if you're older or if you have some medical issues, I can definitely see why you'd be a lot more upset about this sort of thing. And if you follow Dr. Fuhrman for a long time. So again, the issue is, and it's kind of loud outside, the issue is Dr. Fuhrman, how much money, is he making tons of money off of essentially snake oil or semi-snake oil stuff, his own products? And if he isn't, let's figure out the science. Let's just see what's actually going on here. Basically, how much can you trust Dr. Fuhrman if he refers to studies that aren't scientifically sound? And again, because I'm not familiar with the study, I want to see the study. I need the time to research it. I need the wherewithal. So if this gets, if it's a scientific thing, the more scientific it is, the harder it is for us lay people to understand it. If you're talking about some really complex chemistry going on here, that's one of the issues. But I'm with you guys. I'm right with you guys. I don't know how many of you guys have spent tons of money on nutritarianism, Dr. Fuhrman, or whatever, or some of you guys have not, but you've essentially followed nutritarianism, just not got all the fancy, super pricey stuff. But for you guys that have spent tons of money on it, you might be wondering how much of this stuff was actually worth it. So we're gonna see. I want to let you guys know, Dr. Joel Fuhrman, should be putting out a response video to what Dr. Nelson's talking about. And you might not see the end of this for a while. Personally, though, I have a few other things to mention about this, though. at some point, a lot of people are going to say, you know what, I don't have the patience for this. I'm just going to keep eating healthy. Or I think that's what most people are going to do. And some people are going to stay with the dialogue. But also, it's a train of thought I have that, there's all these different diets, all these different ways of eating. And each different kind of diet way of eating does affect your mood. It affects tons of stuff about you. Tons of stuff. I don't deny it. I readily admit that. But let's just all admit that there's the idea of eating a plant-based diet. It's something that I think is very true. I don't think the carnivore diet holds up. But there are a lot of medical doctors, a lot of nutritionists that are about those plant foods. I'm not trying to discount Dr. Fuhrman at all. I'm just saying, it's okay if some of you guys want to step away from Dr. Fuhrman, just being Dr. Fuhrman follower, and just, I think he would probably, I don't know what he would say, but, you still want to stick with eating plant foods, of course, mostly. You guys are already doing that. But, it has to do with this hero worship idea. Dr. Fuhrman is not perfect, doesn't know everything. He makes mistakes. So I think when someone that we hold in very high regard makes mistakes, it's very easy to see how that can demoralize someone, but it shouldn't. Or at least not that much if you think about it, because there's all these other doctors, they're saying very similar things. It's just a question of ratios of food groups and things, and what kinds of foods they're advocating more. And you hear about the avocado from Dr. Berg, or you hear about even things like cheese and bacon as being not really all that bad for you. Dr. Hyman is more about avocado, but more plants, more salads, but doesn't advocate dairy. Dr. Weil just wants to make sure that we're not getting too spiky with our glycemic index, and so on and so forth. They have these little variations, as Dr. Hyman would agree, but there's really not a whole heck of a lot of differences until you get to certain other kinds of diets, like the standard American diet or the carnivore diet and that sort of thing. So just, it's important to keep this all in perspective, and it's not that big of a thing, but it's important when you're doing scientific papers to have it peer reviewed and to try not to have too much of a dog in the fight, so to speak, even if it's financial. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up. I'll catch you guys later. Take care. Bye.